Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.wordpress.com, back again here with another Sunday scoring project. And although it's only September, I have to say I'm trying to get ahead with my Christmas goodies. And this is a very straightforward teepee or pyramid card. And the beauty of this is it folds flat for posting. You obviously need quite a large envelope, but you can fold the side in if you've got a large square envelope as well. And all that happens is that little flap at the back tucks in, just like so, into a slot. And on the inside you can write your sentiment. And I've used some lovely new designer series paper, which is the from the autumn winter catalogue, and I'm going to be looking at quite a few of the autumn winter catalogue items today. And this one is called specialty designer paper, and it's called This Christmas. And it's got a lovely range of papers, all of them double-sided, and being specialty, they're that little bit lighter weight, which is great when you're doing cards because it obviously keeps the weight down if you're posting them. But you can see some lovely, it's very vanilla and colour on the back, and it's the cherry cobbler and garden green. So you've got a lovely range, including some super manuscript paper there as well. And the nice thing about this, of course, is being specialty paper, you get 24 sheets in a pack, so that makes it really economical to make those Christmas cards. And especially with this one, because of the sizes I have chosen, you can actually get 3 cards from a sheet of 12 by 12 paper and a few scraps. So what we need to do then is start off with our cardstock, and it is very simple because it is 3 pieces of 4" by 4", which is 10 by 10 centimetre cardstock. So I've got 3 pieces of cherry cobbler here, and having cut those, you want 3 pieces of a designer series paper, and I've used a slightly different design here, and this is the design on the back, and I love this one with the pine cones as well. And that's 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 inch, and that is 9.5 by 9.5 centimetres. And then all you need is a piece of, in my case, very vanilla cardstock, which again is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, 9.5 by 9.5. So you're going to start off with your pieces of cardstock, and you're just going to adhere your designer series paper to your cardstock. So I'm just coming in with some snail here and popping that in the middle there, hopefully in the middle there. And again, another piece, and because it is lightweight paper, the snail is absolutely fine for this. We'll be using, I mean, obviously if you've got other glue that you prefer, then that's fine as well. Although I would say with wet glue, obviously with the lighter weight paper, just be very sparing with it. But as I say, some people do prefer the wet glue, and that's fine as well. But as I say, it's just not so good on this lighter weight paper. So having put our 3 pieces of paper on there, we're going to do some very simple scoring. You can do this with a ruler if you want. I'm going to use my trimmer, and all I'm going to do is line it up diagonally and simply score down the middle there. Apply a little bit, be reasonably firm with your pressure here. You don't want to crack your paper and your card, but go over it a couple of times if you want, because you want a really good score line on those. And then do the same with your piece of very vanilla for the back. So that's all our cutting and scoring done, and now you're going to make sure you reinforce those creases. So just folding in half and creasing well. I've got a slightly ragged edge where I cut that before, so all I'm going to do there is just come in, I have to say, with a nail file and just, you could come in with scissors if you wanted to as well, but that's just a useful way of getting rid of any little burrs that you've got. So I'm actually on this piece creasing it one way, and then it's actually going to be folded in the other way, so I'm just going to crease in the other direction as well. So you've now got 3 pieces of cardstock with our DSP on, and now we need to actually just layer those up to make this shape here. So I'm just coming in with my fuse, and it's just on the top quarter of this one, and because we want to fold it, I'm just coming slightly to the side of the score line and just gluing that down. So again, we're not coming all the way because we're not going to, the card doesn't cover all the way down, but again, just come in and glue. So that's our basic card. Makes our teepee like so. But we need something to hold it just there. So all we're going to do is we're going to cut a little slot. So when it's folded like this, I'm actually using an erasable pen, and just come in and make a couple of marks. Okay, just hopefully you can see those. And then come in with a scalpel. Now if you haven't got a scalpel, because not everybody has these days, I'm actually going to show you how to do this. You need to be a little bit careful, but it does work. At least it does work when I can find my other mark that I've made. I'm just going to remake my mark. Okay, oh yes, because it's on a nice red berry. Line up your ruler between those two, and I am using a ruler that's got a metal edge. And actually, if you open out your snips and carefully come in, you can in fact just come and don't do what I've done, which is drag it and just mark between the two. Then you can come in with your scissors and cut that slot. And then all I do is just trim very slightly. So we've got a nice little slot there. Okay, so that then will slot in and will help hold your card in place. What you can do as well is sometimes I put a little embellishment on the back there just to make it look a little bit pretty, or you could of course put something on a dimensional to help tuck it behind, but I do find you need a slot really to help hold it in place completely. So that's your basic card, but pretty as it is, it doesn't kind of look very inspiring at the moment. So what I'm going to use is another one of the gorgeous things from our new catalogue, which are these Pretty Pines thinlits. Now in here you have got a whole load of dies which I think are going to be so useful. You have got 3 sizes of frond, you've got 3 different pine cones, you've got 2 lots of leaves, 2 complete pine cones, and 2 sizes of bow and another mistletoe. So as you can see, you've got a really useful selection of things there, and these coordinate with the stamp set which I used, which is this one here, Christmas Pines, which you can see has got solid and cut out pine cones. We've got sentiments, we've got snowflake background, we've got a frame, and we've got some sprigs. So on its own, the Christmas Pines stamp set is really, really useful. Combine it with the dies and it's fantastic. So I figure those of you who've got die cutting machines probably don't need to see me with my big shot. So I have already cut out some bits and pieces using those. And to make the 3D pine cone, all I have done is actually cut 3 pine cones, and then I have scored them down the middle. And then I have just literally folded them in half and glued them together. So you end up with a pine cone that is 3D using 3 die cuts, and the beauty is it folds flat as well. So that's great for sending your card through the post if that's what you need to do. I've also already die cut some of the fronds. If you've got a precision plate, it really does make a difference. If you've got a magnetic plate and a shim, then that's fine as well. And the nice thing about these fronds is because you can cut 3 at a time because you've got the different sizes, if you want smaller ones, you can just trim them like so. So all I'm going to do is just adhere those with some glue on the back there. You can either use the fine tip glue, or you can use Tombow or any other fine glue that you prefer. And I literally just glue them with a tiny bit at the very top, because that way there's still a little bit of movement. And because we're going to use our pine cone, if we get a bit of glue slodging out, it doesn't matter because it's covered up. So no problems there. And you're just going to pop those on. So there's our fronds. Here's our pine cone, which I made earlier. For those of you in the UK, that's a Blue Peter moment. I think everybody knows that. And that just pops on the top like so. And just hold it down, or if you obviously like I'm doing, I'm just going to use a little bulldog clip. I hold it in place and pop it to one side while we do the rest. These are the other ones you could use, so that's what they look like when they're die cut in terms of the mistletoe. So those look very pretty as well, and you can soon add some colour to it as well. Okay, so the next thing to embellish is we're going to use these absolutely beautiful copper pine cones, mini pine cone embellishments, and they are absolutely beautiful. They're really heavy stuff charms. And what I've done is I've just cut a length of this ribbon here, which is a taffeta ribbon, and it comes in a pack with Emerald Envy taffeta ribbon, so beautiful for Christmas. And all I've done is just carefully cut that to a point, and then you can thread it through like so. Now that does end up with a bit of a tatty edge sometimes, so what you need to do is just make sure you've cut sufficient length to tie it, and then come in and just trim it to the same length as your other end. I haven't done that very efficiently. There we go. Right, so there you go, there's our little embellishment. And what I've used to adhere that, because it's quite heavy, I actually use a glue dot, or 2 or 3 glue dots, or if you've got them, some people have some larger glue dots. Stampin' Up! Don't do the larger ones, but they're quite useful, because what you can actually do is kind of roll them up into a little ball with your tool. You'll see there. So you end up with a little round blob of glue, which you can pop onto the back of your pine cone, which is now stuck, and there we go. So there's our pine cone. Then to do our sentiment, I've used a scrap of Whisper White. I haven't used Whisper White at all, I've used Very Vanilla. And I did have a scrap handy, which has now, of course, disappeared. So diving into my spares, one piece of Very Vanilla. And in order to do this, what I've actually done is I'm using the Real Red to stamp it, Cherry Cobbler to stamp it in the first place. So that's the sentiment. May your Christmas sparkle with joy and happiness. And once that's dry, I've got a pen which is an embossing pen, and this is lovely if you just want to emboss some details. I didn't want to emboss the whole of this because I felt it would be a little bit too much, but what you can do is come in with one of these embossing pens and literally just go over the word you want to emboss. I didn't use my embossing buddy, which I'd even got out ready to go. That's failed miserably. Scrap of paper, embossing powder. Hopefully I won't have the disaster that I've had on camera before, where I knock it everywhere. Lid on. And then, excuse the noise for a brief moment, with this okay, so what you're doing here is I'm heating from the bottom, something I was taught, wherever I can I heat from underneath. And when you're embossing, Once it's melted, you want to make sure that it then goes smooth. When it first melts, it'll go a little bit bubbly, but if you keep it on just a few seconds longer, you get a nice smooth finish. Then I'm coming in with our decorative label punch, you can see here, which you can line up. And then in order to get a frame around it, I have just punched the edge only of a decorative label. You can punch a whole one and cut it in half. I happen to have some scraps, so I just punched the edge. And all I'm doing is coming in with my fuse on the two edges and then popping that like so. And that just gives you a nice little frame, top and bottom, okay, which we can now put on our card. Now you have to remember that when it's up, this is the front, so we're going to put it in the middle here. And of course all we're going to use there is some Stampin' Dimensionals, and just a couple of those, one on either side, is all you need. Really sticky. These are fabulous quality pads. So just pop it like so. And then all we need to do now is finish the inside so we can write our sentiment. So to do that, we've got our piece of Very Vanilla, and then for those of you that haven't got Stampin' Right markers, and they are a big investment, you can actually get a 2-pack of Cherry Cobbler and Garden Green in the catalogue at the moment. So you can just get a couple, which is great for Christmas. So just colour in the berries, colour in those holly leaves either side, and then literally, and that really finishes your card off. We don't want naked cards on the inside. Having gone to all the effort of making those lovely cards, let's make them really special just with a brief moment. There we go. And then that can just be glued on the inside. So again, we can come in with our fuse because we're doing card to card. Some fuse either side. And I do one side, fold it, and then fold it over. Okay, and that way it'll help the card stand up, because it won't quite be 100% stuff, if you like, flat. It will still fold flat, okay, but it just helps with the card. So slot it in. There's our Teepee card, ready to go for Christmas. Here's the one in with the other paper, and I hope you agree they'd make a really attractive decoration. You could use them for place settings as well. Hope you've enjoyed. Come back and see me again soon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, if you need any supplies, you can get them from my Stampin' Up shop. Just search for Heidi Smith, and I'm Flutter by Heidi. So nice to talk to you again. Bye bye.